This year, I turned 21 years old, which means I have been driving for a little over 3 years since I got my license when I turned 16 years old. The first car I drove was a Honda CR-V, which was a fully gas-powered SUV vehicle, and it was a pretty old one as well. And it came out in 2004, and hybrids were not, neither were electric vehicles at the time. I then later on went on a mission and served in Portland, Oregon. And on a mission, we cars to drive, but these were newer cars. And one of the first cars I drove out there was a Chevy Equinox, which is also a fully gas-powered car. Later on, I also drove a Nissan Rogue, which was also a fully gas-powered car. And then after that, we had the opportunity to drive a Toyota RAV4, but this time it was a hybrid. And this was the first time I ever drove a hybrid, and I really and and since then, since being over my mission, I drive a Lexus, an older one, so it's a fully gas powered one. But for my job, I also have the opportunity to drive fully Rivian gas, not gas, actually completely the opposite of gas. These are fully electric vans that Amazon has partnered with Rivian to help us delivery drivers to deliver out of. And these are all super unique since they're fully electric. And I just wanted to talk with you guys a little bit about these three different types of cars since I've had experience with each and every one of them, and why I personally think hybrid vehicles are the best option if you're looking for to start driving soon. First of all, like I mentioned, the three different types of cars that are in the guitar market today are gas or diesel powered cars, the fully electric cars, also known as electric vehicles, and there's also hybrid vehicles, whether it's just a standard hybrid vehicle, which involves which kind of combines the two of hybrid and electric, where you can plug it in, and it even gives you more. Talk a little bit more. These are the three main different types of vehicles that exist in the market today, and that hybrid vehicles and why they believe they're the best option. So first of all, hybrid vehicles are the best option and the car that you should consider purchasing if you're for one now, because they're one very efficient. They're just way more efficient than any other car. Also very cost effective, and they're also just very great for the environment. And first and foremost, like I mentioned, these hybrid vehicles are very efficient. One of the first things I noticed when I first started driving the hybrid in Portland is that it started out on full tank with 500 miles that you could drive with it. I remember seeing that, I was like, holy smokes, like I'm used to these gas cars that I'm driving like 300 to 350 miles. And it's because of how these hybrid vehicles work. They use the engine with the gas to power a separate battery inside the car that then stores this energy and then uses that energy alongside the engine to power the vehicle. And so all in all, it is still burning gas and it is producing emissions, but it's allowing the car to be able to go further and give it more potential just because of it also uses alternate energy type. And again, these ranges typically go from 400 to 500 to 600 miles plus, and the mileage on these cars are very great with, as you can see in the graph over on the side, I mean, well over 60, 70 miles per gallon compared to the typical 20 to 30 miles per gallon, which is a standard gas vehicle. And so you'd imagine you're probably burning a lot less gas, which means you have to fill up less, and it costs way less than usual, which is brings me to my second point on why hybrid vehicles are they're just so cost effective. First of all, like I mentioned, they're 20 to 35% more fuel efficient. They don't burn through nearly as much fuel as just a regular gas vehicle does. They also tend to have lower maintenance costs, and a lot of these hybrid vehicles come with what's called regenerative braking, which is present in a lot of these electric vehicles too as well. And because of these, it puts less wear and tear on the brakes, and in turn, it actually produces like electricity for the car to use again in return. And However, the downside about a hybrid is that they're initially a little bit more expensive than gas vehicles off the get-go, but they are way cheaper than the average electric vehicle to start with. And however, over the long run, as you can see, the yearly fuel cost of a hybrid is nearly half of what it just saves you a lot of money over. And also, if you're wanting to sell your hybrid vehicle later on, research tends to show that they retain their value a lot and much than typical gas vehicles do. And on top of that, as we are well aware, global is a huge impact. And because of that is resorted to a lot of companies trying to come up with creative solutions to help slow down this process of climate change. And these hybrid vehicles are a great alternate to these emission producing vehicles. While yes, they do produce emissions, they produce nearly half, even more than half the emissions that typical gas vehicles produce, as you can see on the graphs on the right. Being the gas powered vehicles, the blue ones being the hybrid and the green ones being the fully electric ones. While electric vehicles again produce about the same to less than hybrid vehicles, they take their energy from depending on where you live in the country, that can be drained and obtained from coal power plants or gas power plants, which again is producing pollution into the environment. Again, these hybrid vehicles are far been proven to produce less than the gas vehicles, and overall just a much better solution for the environment. And again, like mentioned in the previous slides, they just use less gas overall, which ultimately produces less emissions. And so today I've talked with you guys just on why I personally think these hybrid vehicles are a step in the right direction. First of all, they're efficient. They're very cheap and easy to maintain compared to electric vehicles and some gas vehicles, and they're just really good for the environment. The nice thing about hybrid vehicles too is that there are tons on the market right now. And so it's not very hard to come across one. And hybrid vehicles have been also in the market for a good time, unlike the electric vehicles that are just starting to get introduced. And so if you're in the car market coming up soon, definitely consider getting a hybrid because I will soon too. Thank you.